Rudy. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your man, Martin Anaya, and you are once again tuned in to The Breakdown. That's right. California Film Foundation presents The Breakdown, all things movie making. Okay, and today we've got a barn burner for you. I'm going to talk to a little bit about our guests and who we're bringing in. I got a gentleman that I met recently at the National Association of Broadcasters, named Kyler Miles. And Kyler at that time was representing a company called Cinemaker, but he has his own company called Making It Happen. And basically what he does is he's the guru that helps you make it happen with your content, particularly your live content or your podcasting content, anything where you've got multi-cameras and you're trying to do a production that is either live or what we used to call in the industry live to tape. That means recorded. But that you want it to look good, you want it to look cinematic, and he's the man. So we're going to be talking to him in just a minute. And then a little bit later on tonight, pay attention, all you screenwriters. And by the way, we're streaming to about 8 different platforms right now, including YouTube and so forth. But if you want to make it easy on yourself, just tell people to go to that thing right down there at the bottom of your screen, californiafilm.net. Because if you know a screenwriter who needs to be in this conversation right now, let them know to go to californiafilm.net, click on the button, and they will go ahead and get all the information, because we got my man coming back for 2023, Mr. Richard Broadhurst. Richard Broadhurst, of course, the impresario of our screenwriting group, bringing it back here post-COVID for 2023. We're going to talk to him, pick his brain a little bit. For those of you who've never had an opportunity at our Screenwriters Summit or at the Sacramento Film Festival to meet Richard, you're going to get that opportunity, okay? So stay tuned, friends. We got a lot of an action-packed show coming up for you. And just to show you how action-packed it is, I got a little something for you. We are getting ready for the Sacramento Film Festival 2023, or 28th annual. And as we're getting prepared for that, you're going to have an opportunity to participate in our 48 Hours California film project. Now, over the years, we've put out literally hundreds of films. I mean, in 2020 alone, we had 35 films with over 3,500 people watching online. Of course, that was the COVID year, so we didn't have a live in person. But this year we are going back to live in person. So what is the theme this year? Every year there's a theme, and I'm going to let you in on the secret. This year the theme is Gremlins. Yeah, that's right, Gremlins. There it is, right there. The cast and crew call is going to be happening. Thank you, Rudy, by the way. My man Rudy is working on the 1s and 2s, hooking it up for us tonight. Now, I've got the little Tower Theater there. We're going to be doing some screenings at Tower Theater, but this is actually going to be going live at the California Railroad Museum, friends. That'll be on June the 24th and the 25th. But for now, what you need to know is that on May the 27th, that's May the 27th, this month, we're going to be doing our cast and crew. So circle the date. I got more information coming for you. If you're not a member of california.net, please become a member now, because that's how you're going to get all that 411 dates, times, specific venue information so you can get in on our cast and crew. Now, why did we pick Gremlins? Last year, what was it? I think it was, what was it, Rudy? It was that, oh, goodness gracious. I'll tell you what. Every year we pick a different movie, a different kind of a subject, kind of a theme. It doesn't have to be literal. You don't have to make a movie about gremlins for your 48-hour film, but we'll give you some inspiration and some reasons why that's kind of a good pick. Well, none the least of which is because the film itself, actually Gremlins 2, is going to be playing at the Crest Theater on May the 14th at 7 p.m. in Sacramento. That's right, Gremlins 2. Go ahead and put that up for me, Rudy. We'll be playing, and guess what? The star of the movie is going to be with us. I think we have a graphic for that as well. His name is Zach Galligan. Now, for those of you who never remembered Gremlins, you didn't live through the 80s, you'll be forgiven. This is going to be an absolute treat. This young man, a very young man, by the way, does anybody know who his female star was at that time? Anybody got an idea who that was? I can tell you who it was. Go ahead. If you want, if you know, go ahead and put it in the chat. Kyler says, I'm on and ready to go. Well, Kyler, I want to know, do you know who it is? I want to ask everybody in the viewing audience if you know who the female star of Gremlins was. I'll give you a hint. She also starred in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she is also married to Kevin Kline. That's right, Phoebe Cates. I think she must have been all of like 15 or 16 at the time. We're talking like 1981 here. Was the female star, and that guy, put him up one more time for me, Rudy. Zach Galligan was the star of the movie, and we're going to have Zach Galligan here in person at the Crest Theater, and I'm going to go you one better, folks. It's May the 14th. Our friends are bringing this together with the folks over at the Crest and my man Gabe Solo. It's Gremlins 2, because that's actually the better of the two Gremlins movies, or the ones that I like. And it's May 14th, Crest Theater. And guess what? If you email me right now, I got 2 free passes waiting for you. But you got to be the first 2 people to email me at martin@sacramentofilmfestival.com. That's martin@sacramentofilmfestival.com. The first 2 people will get 2 passes to the May 14th Crest Theater screening of Gremlins 2 with star Zach Galligan. Now, I know some of you, you're like, who, what? Because you weren't born then. I get it, man. All you Y-Jenners and all that stuff, I get it, man. But tell you what, you are absolutely going to be in for a treat. Just like last year we had a treat for you. And by the way, did anybody remember what the name of that movie was? That was our inspiration for last year. Weird Science. It was Weird Science. Hello, everybody. So that was a ball. Everybody had a great time with that, and I guarantee you're going to have a great time with this theme for our 48-hour film festival. All right, so already we've had an action-packed show. Good night, folks. All right, wait a minute. I can't do that. Friends, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you a gentleman who, like I said, I met at the NAB, and without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring him in right now. Kyler Miles of Making It Happen. Hey, Kyler, what's going on, brother?
Martin, my God, the energy you bring after a long, hard day, you're bringing it right back. I had this tea right here thinking like, all right, I got to wake up, but I don't need it, man. You're bringing the energy. Love it, man. But thank you for having me. Super happy to be here.
No, appreciate you for saying that. And let me, if I could, let me just get into it with you. I know that at NAB you were representing a company called Cinemaker, and I want to talk to you about Cinemaker and their product because I was really ecstatic. I went to NAB this year looking for live production technology and that we could make and miniaturize and take places, because as you know, I'm everywhere and all the time, and we're trying to make content. You know, people think of me as a filmmaker as I run film festivals, but really my job is I'm a television producer. I mean, that's what I do for a living. So for us, it's always about how can we do live TV or something analogous to that, what y'all kids might call podcasting. For me, it's just a TV show with the ability for folks to chime in on it. But you know what? I've got a bunch of comments in here. Shutter Films is in the house. What's up, Shutter Films? Megan Gallagher is in the house. Hi, Megan. Joshua Bertram is here. Vinny Langdon, my brother from another mother. Listen, if you guys have got questions for Kyler, go ahead and start throwing them in here right now, and we will be happy to ask. But let me just start it out. So, Kyler, tell me, this Making It Happen odyssey that you're on, right? Talk to me about what was the genesis for it. Why did you decide on this as a business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. I actually come from a background of sales and marketing. I've always been interested in business. I went to school for business, but it wasn't really my passion. Like, getting a sale was awesome, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And it wasn't until I actually moved across the country for love until I discovered my passion for video. And like the people probably in this audience, I first went into filmmaking, learning and diving deep into YouTube University and understanding just like how powerful video is, right? And I started this business by accident. Like, I was looking for a job. Like I said, I moved across the country. So looking for a place, but looking for something in my new passion. And there was this podcasting editor role. And to be honest, I fibbed a little bit and I said, yeah, I could do that. I totally can do that. And I knew nothing about it, but they gave me a shot and I learned from the ground up on how to grow a show. Fast forward 6 months, we grew the show past 50,000 downloads within 6 months of
Wow.
us literally learning from Gary Vee, from Alex Hormozi, from all the big guys on podcasting. And fast forward a couple of years later, I'm here now with my own video production agency, right? So I saw the real need for video and the need for attention. We are always on our phones. We are live right here. We're paying attention to this. And this is where the market is. Attention is the new oil, and video is the best vehicle to get attention. And it's my passion. So creating a business was easy for me in the sense that it was an easy decision, I should say, not easy to build it. Easy decision because that's what I love. That's what I eat and breathe. And with my background in sales and marketing, I have that communication factor to add into the video so I can be not just behind it, but in front of it.
Sure. And so, obviously I'm not going to ask you for all the nuts and bolts tonight, but basically what are you teaching folks? Like your clients, what are they actually looking to do that you can help them to do?
Yeah, great question. So to summarize, I really focus on helping entrepreneurs simplify the process and make it happen with video. So let's look at video in general for the average entrepreneur. Now, you guys are filmmakers, so you guys know video like the back of your hand. 99% of the people in this world of business owners, entrepreneurs do not know how to edit, how to film, what to talk about in video. And so I want to simplify the process and help them make it happen with video, help them spark attention, help them build authority and grow their brand online. And as I said earlier, video is the perfect vehicle to do that. It's to demonstrate trust, to build authority. And that's what I help people do. So it's more of the person who's not necessarily a content creator, filmmaker, but a business owner. But I'm really excited to talk about the benefits of filmmakers and how Cinemaker can help them, or how filmmakers can think about podcasting and short form content for their services and what they offer as well.
Listen, if there's anything that I've tried to pound home with the filmmakers as far as get into their heads is that they're also business people, because let's face it, 98% of the movies are not only not going to see distribution theatrically, but they're also not going to, so that means they're online, but it's also that they're not even going to see a major distribution. 97% of the film content, the 3-act plays, the television shows, whatever you want to call it, are not even going to make it to any of the big box retailers, online retailers, right? So Netflix, so what that means is, it's not woe is me, right? It's not like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it to Netflix. What do I do now? No, it's, wait a minute. The world is my oyster, and there are multiple ways to get my content, my product into the marketplace, but you got to have that business sensibility to do it. And and filmmakers hate to hear it because they think of themselves as auteurs, and I'm the autiste and I don't selling myself.
I'm a creative,
Yeah, I'm a creative, but if people aren't watching,
It's
So
like
I
this.
hear you.
It's really like this. Like if you think of anything, if you're an author, if you're even a plumber or whatever you're trying to do, you can have the best product on the market, the best service in the market. But if no one knows that you do X, Y, Z, then what's the point of it? And here's an example. Have you ever tried a product that just completely sucked? And you're like, why did I try this? Or why is this so popular? It sucks. It's because they did a great job marketing it to you, right? That's the
Absolutely.
power of marketing. That's the power of communication. So
Yeah.
I want to help entrepreneurs and creatives articulate their genius through video. You're great behind the camera. How can we get you in front of the camera to communicate the value or the message or the story that you're bringing to your audience?
Right. Fantastic. Well, and what would you call a success story? I'm not asking you to name examples per se, but I mean, in your mind, what are the benchmarks of success for somebody getting that product out there, that what they're trying to do, getting it out there and into the ether, as it were?
Well, you do need you do need some type of minimal viable product. You need something. You need to know what the base value is. But if you want to get a little, high level with me, I look at success as happiness, and it sounds really cliche, but it's the true thing. Is that you can build the biggest filmmaking career or biggest business in the world, but if you're not happy during that process, I think you've lost the game of business. I think you've lost the game of being creative. The best part of my job is like to live my passion. Not the other way around. My business doesn't run me. I run my business, and I run my business the way I see fit to fit what I want to do. And so the best success story I can share is just myself. I'm living the dream. I've thought about this since I was like 15, 16 years old, scrolling on Facebook back then, or MySpace, whatever the platform was, looking at photographers and creatives traveling the world and taking photos. At the time, I was interested in beautiful women and models and traveling. Now I'm interested in storytelling and helping people, create impact in the world. Right. And so
But no more beautiful women and models, though.
I'm marrying one. So
okay, all right.
All right.
So you are living the dream, man. That's the dream come true. Now, if I could for just a minute here, and let's see, I have, I think I'm getting some. Here we go. So Shutter Films is asking the YT algorithm sucks for independent filmmaking, but I want to change that. YouTube, I guess he's talking about. Yeah, man. How do you get? I mean, that's the 64. You know what? Can I just share what pisses me off for a minute, Kyler?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's like I literally have networks that have 10,000 people in them, 10,000 people. Like, for example, on Facebook, right? I mean, if we aggregate all of our members on Facebook, we probably got about 20,000 subs. Getting a message to them, though, that is a whole different issue, is getting a message because they want to monetize it and they want to slap you on the wrist and da-da-da-da. So what would you say to somebody who's complaining about the YouTube algorithm or who's complaining about, I can't reach my market on Facebook, even though I've got all these subscribers, but I can't get at them because there's firewalls up, you know what I mean? And then I've got to buy ads and blah, 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 blah. How do you help a person navigate that? They've already got the eyeballs, or theoretically.
Mm-hmm. In my experience, the algorithm works, any social media algorithm, including YouTube, works on interest-based content, meaning they will show your video if people are interested in watching it. Let me say that again. If they're interested in watching it, if your video is not successful, and this is the harsh truth, and I've had most of the videos I've created in my life has not been successful until one is successful, and then you're known as the viral success, right? Is based on interest in people watching it. If people are watching your video, the algorithm, whatever it's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, they will push it to more people. That is what the algorithms of today are focused on. If you actually study the YouTubers and what they talk about and how you crack the code of attention is actually the cracking the code of psychology of the person, people's interest. If your film is not actually creating a story and intriguing people and they don't see themselves or can imagine themselves in your story, they're not going to be interested.
Mm-hmm,
And so you have to be able to look at human behavior, not algorithm behavior, because all the algorithms, I'm not a coder, but they all do the same thing. They push content that they know people are interested in.
Well, and that makes perfect sense, because that's why there's so much clickbait. I mean, you see something that immediately gets you going, whoa, and you click into it, and then it might not even the content may not even necessarily be as compelling as the headline was, the header was, because that's what tapped you to, that what got the emotion of you to click. But yeah, I hear you. You got to follow it up. You got to bring the goods. Well, that's probably not what our filmmaker friends wanted to hear, but I guess that is the hard truth of it. If I could, I'd like to take a little left-hand turn with you, because I do want to talk about Cinemaker, because that's what you were repping when I met you. For those of us gearheads like myself who do think about the tech part of it mostly, or most of the time, I should say, what does Cinemaker do? What problem is it solving? Mm-hmm. And by the way, we're happen to be looking at one of just a still grab of I guess that's the graphic, that's the user interface, right?
Yeah, it's actually changed a lot since those graphics.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh no, it's not on you. It's on Cinemaker. We're leveling up our marketing, so not on you at all, Martin. But to answer your question, what is Cinemaker? So Cinemaker is an app-based software that simplifies the production and post-production process. So it's easy for you to press record and publish. Mm-hmm. And the cost, let's just look at a cost factor of production and post-production, is usually the highest cost of any film, any movie, any video, is those two things. It's filming it and editing it. You betcha. Well, Cinemaker, just like we are now, can live edit while we were recording, or live stream. So everything you're seeing here in StreamYard, this is what Cinemaker can do. It can switch between camera angles. It can bring Martin up, bring me up, bring lower thirds, all that jazz.
So it's a live production composition tool.
Exactly.
And the part that I really loved is that you can go back and fix the mistakes, because it's got those ISOs. It's got camera ISOs. Each camera is recorded individually, and you've got a little editor inbuilt into it.
Yep.
Inbuilt into the
editor, AI coming soon. So auto camera switching, that's a future feature coming. So it's going to be a really, I think, game-changing product, game-changing app. For anyone that's creating video that needs a multi-camera setup that's light, easy to use, and remote.
And you can use it with iPhones. You don't even have to have the big guns out there. And it looks great, by the way. We did, in fact, I just opened it today, a little like a 5-minute little interview, and later on I'll post that just so you guys can see what it looks like, in process. It's absolutely wonderful. Kyler Miles, listen, I could talk to you all night. Will you do me a favor? Will you come back again, and maybe we can kind of pick your brain on a more kind of like a detailed session? I mean, for now, I'm really excited to have been introduced to you, to have been able to meet you. And by the way, I put him through his paces, folks, over at NAB. I was like rifling questions at him. He's like, bro, who are you? What's going on? But thank you, man. You're a good sport, and just an awesome dude. And by the way, folks at home, you can get a hold of him. Hopefully he signed up on our CaliforniaFilm.net website, the California Film Foundation. But it's what's that? Put it up there, Rudy. What is it? There it is. Kyler at makingit.ca. Do I got that right?
Yeah, it's a Canadian. I'm a Canadian, so got to rep.
He's a Canuck. All right. Well, yeah, but you're on the west coast of Canada, so we love that, man. You don't have to deal with all that harshness on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I just say thank you so much. You are absolute peach for being here, and you promise to come back and see us again.
Of course, happy to. Thank you so much.
All right. By the way, we recorded that, so we got him on tape, folks. All right, Tyler, I love you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
See ya.
All right, man. That's Kyler from Making It. And again, this is the kind of stuff, if you don't know about the breakdown and you don't know about the California Film Foundation, this is why you're a member. This is why you want to become a member. This is why you want to tell all your friends to become a member, because we're going to bring you this kind of stuff right here that's going to improve your ability to do what you do. Speaking of which, and without any further ado, I got to bring my brother from another mother. I got to, again, in the way of an introduction, Mr. Richard Broadhurst is one half of the dynamic duo that was our wonderful friend, the Dean Emeritus of UCLA screenwriting, Dr. Lou Hunter, was the other co-conspirator, and Lou just passed away this I think it was early this year. And it really hurt our CFF family, because the reality is that, there would really be no California Film Foundation without Lou. It was really a little group called Writers Block North, based out of Sacramento, and it was mainly a writers group, a screenwriters group. And Lou started coming up to the group and doing little things, and eventually those little things became the American Screenwriters Conference. And over the years, we've had dozens and dozens of top flight screenwriters. But the gentleman who has been with Lou, like I said, partner in crime throughout, and who is himself an award-winning playwright and screenwriter and actor, I might add, is the gentleman who I have the most humble and most excited opportunity to introduce right now. So without further ado, let's bring on my buddy, Mr. Richard Broadhurst here. Hey, Richard, what's going on, brother?
Hey, buddy, how you doing? I'm doing good. Doing good.
It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Obviously, we're still in this kind of a format, but I think as we go here next month with the film festival, and then this month with the we're going to try to get some screenwriters and filmmakers together for our wonderful 48 hours. So hopefully we'll be able to share and break bread and do all that stuff again real soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Your timing is good. I'm going to be in New York from May 17th, but I'll be back on the 24th. So I'll be back.
Well, I'll be waiting for you, bro, because we're very excited, and also very excited to kind of pick up where we've left off with the screenwriters group, because again, a lot of we've done things. Obviously, we've done the screenwriters conference and so forth, but hopefully we can get back in person again. But even still, doing these kinds of things on a regular basis would mean a lot. Now, for those that don't know, how would you describe the group, the CFF screenwriters? How would you describe the group and what it does?
Boy, that's a good question. Over the years, I've found it very a wonderful group of people who are really doing their best to put their heart and souls out into the world in whatever form, whether it's screenwriting, playwriting, and they're really, I've always found folks to be very open to comments, criticisms, and that's really probably, to my way of thinking, that's probably the most important part of getting where you want to go. Is you have to be open. You have to be willing to make changes. Can I put a pin in that for a second? I'd like to stay right here for a moment, because that's it. A screenwriting group is going to challenge you a little bit. They're going to, if it's working, at full tilt, a screenwriting group is going to help you work through some of the logic and some of the problems with your screenplay. Because I don't think I've ever read a perfect screenplay. I think there's a few that have come pretty darn close. But every screenplay is going to have problems. It's going to have holes. It's going to have gaps. It's going to have, would that character have really done that? Just kind of like, character issues, plot issues. There's a myriad of things that you got to think about. And nobody's perfect. You look at all these big movies all the time with big name directors and multi-million-dollar budgets, and a lot of times you think, gee whiz, if they'd had a little bit more time, or maybe they'd have known Richard, they could have maybe got that to a deeper place of meaning. I've got a question in here. Megan wants to know, what was the first script you ever wrote? The first screenplay I ever wrote?
First script. That's the way she wrote it.
I ever wrote. Oh my God. Well, the first script I ever wrote was a play I wrote that was done in New York City. It was actually 2 one-act plays, and they were done at a theater in New York. And the umbrella title was Night Games. But just to tell on myself, to show that everybody has to start somewhere, and it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
The umbrella title was Night Games. I shouldn't even tell this story. And one of the reviews, the headline for the reviews was Nightmares.
Oh no! Oh, ouch!
So I've had my and that really, boy, talk about going back to the woodshed, starting over again. I thought,
that was an off-Broadway thing in New York.
Yeah,
because that's really where you got your start, isn't it? In New York City.
I lived in New York for about 20 years, so that's really where I started.
And also as an actor, I might add.
Yeah, I did a lot of that there too, and but that was my first sort of exposure to what can happen when you put it out there. And a lot of looking back in hindsight, a lot of people love the plays, but seeing that is in I think the review was in the Daily News, and seeing that in print was just, I didn't, I think I stopped writing for like 3 years. I was so depressed.
Oh man, I was just going to ask that question. It kind of put the knife in the heart, huh?
It did, but then I got involved with a really great theater company that I helped found in New York City, and it was a group of actors and writers and directors, and that sort of got me back on the path again. And really, really helpful.
Well, and that seems to make the point, though, is that you got to find a good group of people to kind of hitch your saddle to, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. No, that group was, in fact, that group it still exists. It's called, I hated the acronym, but it's called the American Renaissance Theater Company, which the acronym is ARTSY, which I always thought was terrible.
ARTSY!
But
I want to start an organization called Fartsy.
There you go. So that was my first exposure. If you're going to put it out there, you're gonna take some blows, and that one was really hard for me. So I hate. Thanks for the question, but I hate having to answer that.
Yeah, well, I can see that one might leave a little. Megan says, "Yikes." She says though that she does love theater and acting. So so look, you got
just as a quick side note about that, which helped me kind of get back on the track, is I was in an old bookstore or used bookstore, and I saw a collection of Eugene O'Neill one-act plays. Now, Eugene O'Neill is considered one of the great American playwrights, but I didn't know he wrote any one-act plays. So I was so excited to make this discovery. And I bought the book, I took it home, and I started reading. And Marty, when I tell you, the plays were crap. Some of the worst writing I've ever seen. It made me go, oh, so you don't just come out of the womb, knowing exactly what to do. And that sort of helped get me back on track. I was like, oh, thank goodness I'm not the only one who's had.
Yeah, well, if somebody like Eugene O'Neill has put out crap, then that bodes well for the rest of us, mere mortals.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and so obviously the one takeaway is obviously you got to get into a good group, and we're trying to solve that problem for you, friends. What else would you say are some basic kind of, I don't know, just kind of building block? Because what we wanted to do here with this one is just kind of reintroduce you. I mean, a lot of people that have been in this group for a long time already know who you are. But for those, because a lot of people come into this and then they go out of it, and then they wax and wane. They'll come back into it. Like sometimes I'll see screenwriters I haven't seen in 3 years. I'm like, what happened to you? And then they're back. Life takes over. But for those who are, really wanting to pursue this, and maybe who knows, even turn it into a money-making profession, what are some of the other maybe building block basic kinds of advice that you would tell them to just to push them off the not the edge of the cliff, but just into the water, get them on the raft and get them going in their direction?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I had to learn, and that's why I'm glad that I'm able to do it when people ask, is that I always tell people, look, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to put it out there and get feedback and get somebody who's had some experience to help you to give you a don't give your script to your mother because she's going to love it. Find somebody, doesn't have to be me, it can be anybody, but find somebody who you feel you can trust, who will be honest with you about your material. And then you sort of have to develop a very thick skin when you start hearing the comments.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you're going to get better, really.
Listen, I want to reaffirm that and say that I hear you. There are a lot of filmmakers, I come in contact with them, and writers who I think in the case of the writers, and this is just my observation, I think what in that instant, I think what happens a lot of times is they're afraid that either somebody's going to steal their content or something like that, or they don't have anybody they can trust with it, or they're just afraid to let it out there. So they're like this with it. And so that, like you said, they're not able to really kind of see the faults of it because they don't have people that they can trust. And I think that that's a big hurdle that screenwriters particularly need to get over. What would you tell a screenwriter that is maybe suffering that kind of mentality right there?
Well, I don't worry a great deal about whether somebody's going to steal something, and I just assume they are going to steal. So, I don't make a big issue of it. I think that, and actually there's so many ways to protect your material nowadays that it doesn't really, and the biggest thing is ideas. It's not just a coincidence, but if you take a look over the years at it'll be like there'll be a film come out and then suddenly it seems like there'll be 5 films around the same topic. So, ideas are out there and somebody wants to see it. Like the trend years ago was the bodies changing things. There was Big, and then there was, where somebody changes bodies with somebody else and lives another. And there must have been 6 or 7 of those films in a row. So did everybody just suddenly come up with that, or did somebody read somebody else's thing? So it's
no. I'm laughing because so one of the biggest screenwriting agents in the world is a guy named Chris Lockhart, and Chris Lockhart has been a multi-time guest at our American Screenwriters Conference. Which, by the way, we're looking for screenplays right now for the American Screenwriters Conference for 2023. You can go on our CaliforniaFilm.net or just type it in a Google search and it'll come up. But he would always come and do things with us, and he would do a pitch. We did a pitch fest with him many years running, and oh man, he was brutal. But he was so spot on, and he was so hilarious. At the end of the day, you're crying, but I'm not sure if you were crying because he just ripped you a new one, or if you were crying tears of laughter because he was so damn funny at the same time. But Chris Lockhart, I'll never forget this, man. All I know is that we're sitting in the thing, and then he says, a guy gets up to do his pitch, and he says, imagine, if you will, that they took a single shroud or a single thread from the Shroud of Turin, and they were able, and then he couldn't even get it out. And Lockhart goes, oh, not another They Cloned Jesus movie. And I'm sitting here, Richard, going, I'm hanging on every word. I'm like, whoa, I want to see that movie. Because there's 25 of those scripts floating around Hollywood.
Yep.
So I take your point. It's the execution, not necessarily the idea, right?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is the execution. I mean, it's that has more to do with it than anything. The other thing that I think screenwriters, and I had to learn this lesson the hard way, is that screenwriting as opposed to playwriting, film, I should say, as opposed to screenwriting. Film is a director's medium. It's not a writer's medium. I mean, it's like if you read a review of a film, the one thing that irritates me when I read reviews, it'll be like, if it's a great film, they'll talk about, what a great Steven Spielberg film. Yeah. And they'll never mention the writer. Now, if it's a crappy film, then the writer. To work with, it was a piece of shit.
It had problems from the beginning,
So it's, and I have to keep reminding myself that, if when I'm writing, the reason I go back and forth between theater and film is because if I want to see my material done the way I want to see it done, I'll write a play.
Yeah.
A screenplay, I just hope that they're at least remotely,
Yeah.
I can work.
It'll be nice to you.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
No, I mean, but also too, and I take your point on that. We're right in the middle of this. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up because we're right in the middle of this writers, action, the strike. Have you been keeping your ear to the ground on that? Are you paying any attention to it? Because I think it must be a scary time for a lot of screenwriters right now. What with AI and everything else.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a long one. I don't think it's going to be over soon. I think it could run.
What do you think are the intractable issues right now?
Money.
Or the issues that are proving, at least thus far, to be intractable?
Yeah, it's really money. It's all. I mean, the screenwriters, they've been getting screwed for years, and now with the streaming and everything, they're not getting what they deserve. And the people who are, the people in charge, the producers, they don't care, and they're going to hold out. And I don't think they won't settle it until they get later into the summer, and then the people get nervous because they got the fall coming up, and they're like, oh, maybe we better settle.
Yeah. Well, I remember with COVID, I mean, there was a big work stoppage during COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, it gummed up the works. And if I remember correctly, that last writer strike, which was that had to be, when was that now? Like 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah, 2008 or something like that. It was a long
2008. Okay. Yeah, that last writer's strike, that had a lot of people very, very nervous, and that started to really impact the product, especially, they say we're in the golden age of television right now. And the joke is it's like not even television. It's like we're in the golden age of online content, right?
Sure. I'm sure
we're in the golden age of Kyler's world here, online content.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a long one, unfortunately.
Yeah, damn it. Well, I don't know, folks at home. I've got Sean, the great gamer. He says very interesting, very fascinating. I've got I have Blaine here says, have you written a serial series? He's asking, i.e. 1940s Batman, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, Dick Tracy. Have you ever written anything like that? I guess he wants to know what your tips might be for somebody writing in that kind of a genre.
Yeah, no, I've never done that. I think it's probably in a strange way, it's probably harder to break into that end of the business than even just writing individual screenplays.
Right.
I know.
How would you do it without being overly emulative of something that's,
Well, the problem.
How could you keep it fresh? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can imagine, the best way I can imagine approaching it is if you're thinking of writing a series, write what would be a standalone script that sort of lends itself to sequels or more product afterwards. But I think to start writing, because if you're going to write a series, you've got to give them your pilot, you got to give them what they call the Bible, which is how it's going to examples of like 5 or 6 episodes in advance. And it's a pretty closed market. It's very much, they just keep recycling the same writers over.
Sure.
I mean,
by the way, Richard and Blaine, if you're, I'm going to have a guy here in the next couple months here from a company called Showrunner, and what they do is they produce a software that helps showrunners who are doing multi-episodics,
right.
Just like what you're talking about, or even just anything, nighttime soaps, whatever it might be, stay in concert with their Bible, with everything that they're trying to do, and with what they're trying to create, and the world building that they have to do to create one of these shows. So stay tuned for that. This is going to be very, very exciting.
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer. I mean, I think the other possibility, one way to get into it is you could try, but this is tricky. You could try writing a sample script for a show that's already on the air, so that you can, get your foot in the door somewhere. Now that gets tricky too, because you don't like I did a number of those when I was living in New York. But the mistake I made was I wrote scripts specifically for the show I was interested in writing for, and they don't want that. So I wrote a script for the Wonder Years. I wrote another one for I think I wrote 3 different ones. But I kept writing them for the show. And I was later told, no, you write a script for another show, so you can do it, and then submit it to the show you want to write for.
Nice. Very nice. Very good point. Well, these are the kinds of points that you're going to learn, folks. And also to what Richard was saying earlier, it's really about getting in, getting comfortable, and then really starting to kind of workshop your stuff. Obviously, we're going to be bringing in special guests like we did today and so forth, and people who can help you. But you know, at the end of the day, you've really got to do it. And you've got to get involved with other people. And I know that's hard to hear for a lot of writers because it's such an insular kind of a thing. But Richard, I want to just thank you again, sir, for being there for us. I want to thank Kyler again. I don't know if he's still on there. Kyler, are you still with us? Let's bring him if we can. Rudy, there he is. Hey, Kyler. What's up, brother? Have you been listening to our little convo here?
I have been listening. Yeah. I just wrote, you got to make it happen.
That's it,
guys.
That's it. Absolutely. Well, you two gentlemen have been making it happen here. And, you know, obviously, Richard, I know you a lot better and for a lot longer years. But Kyler, I feel like we're brothers from another mother already, man. And I want to tip my hat to both of you for what you do. Again, folks, remember, it's CaliforniaFilm.net. All right. That's the website you want to go to. It's right there on the bottom of your screen, because every week, through this organization, or I should say through this show here, through the CFF screenwriters, and then, of course, through all the things that we do with the festivals, Sacramento Film Festival, on and on, you're going to get that education, that ongoing education that you need to make what you do shine, sing, and find an audience, okay? So, again, Richard Broadhurst, Kyler, Miles, I want to thank the both of you, and until next time, we'll see you. Peace out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hit it, Rudy. Rudy's like,